Here with the legend Al Snow at For the Love of Wrestling with Monopoly Events, and we have the famous mannequin here in the flesh in Manchester.
Yes.
How amazing is it to feel the love of the fans and see a lot of familiar faces here with your peers as guests?
Feeling of the love, it's incredible, but you got to wrestle sometimes.
Is there anyone in particular in terms of the other wrestlers that are here that you've been excited to catch up with?
All of them. I mean, like Nick Dimmoth and John Morrison and Shelton Benjamin are all, OVW alumni, and to get the chance to catch back up with them, see where they're at, what they're doing, how John I forget. I think I met John when he was 18 or 19, maybe 20 years old, and he just told me he was like 40, and I was like, God, what? Oh my God. So that makes me feel old.
Time goes fast, doesn't it, man? It really does. When you're doing something that you absolutely love and adore, like yourself, like what I'm doing, like what everyone is doing in this building. When we talk about the mannequin, now that gimmick sort of originated when you were outside an ECW arena and you saw a mannequin outside and you felt like you needed a fresh start, you needed a new gimmick. Talk to me about reflecting on that moment now when it goes down as one of the most famous gimmicks in wrestling history, and you really lived and breathed that gimmick in that time, didn't you?
I did, yeah. And that led to a lot of awkward moments, for sure. But you know what? It was simply a matter of realizing, and I still hadn't realized it until even just the last few years, that it is an audience isn't motivated to pay to see what you do, and that's the big trend right now. They pay to see who you are and to believe in who you are, and then in why you do it. It's never what you do. And being able to develop, I was very, very grateful that I was able to develop a persona or a part of my personality that an audience could describe in a very succinct manner. Like, that's really the key in entertainment is one, no matter what you're pursuing, that they be able to believe in who you are. And then two, that they can describe you to their friends and family in a sentence or less. If they can come, if you really think of some of the people you really enjoy, no matter what the form of entertainment, those people are always people you've turned to your friends and went, hey, you got to come watch, or you got to come listen, or you got to come see. And there's this person, then they're A, B, C, D, E, boom. And then if you can do that in that manner, that person's going to be an attraction. They're going to be a star.
But didn't you take the mannequin head to restaurants with you, and you would have discussions with the mannequin head, and you would ask for a table for two? And can you remember any specific memories of that happening where the staff were just like, what is happening?
I mean, when I would pick up a rental car from the airport, I would, I'd ask for if they have any child safety seats, for head, because they don't fit, and they just stare at me, or if I were pulling out of the rental car lot, I'd have them safety belted in, and just, hey, and you'd see people in the, like, watching you go down the road. And there were lots of nights that I'd go into a restaurant and set them on the table and sit across from them, and I'd order both, two meals, and I'd argue, and we'd discuss the day, and people it got really uncomfortable sometimes. Managers would come over and be like, sir, you're making the other customers uncomfortable. We need you to leave. And I'd be like, well, they're making us uncomfortable, so pick one. And then ultimately, I had a couple times I pressed it, like see what I could get away with, and I had the cops call on me, and they came and escorted me out of the restaurant. So, it was awkward, but the reason I did it wasn't that I was just, being weird. It is weird, but. But it was because if you're at home like 2 or 3 weeks after that fact that you saw me in the restaurant behaving in that way, whether it be for breakfast or lunch or whatever, or dinner, that you'd see me come out on TV. You're just flipping through the channels and you see me and you're like, hey, get in here. There's that guy we saw at the restaurant. And now you 100% believe that I am who I say I am, which means no matter what you think, what you tell yourself, you'll believe in anything I say and anything I do. And let's face it, some of the stuff I used to do on TV was pretty wild. I mean, I had a eulogy for a deer head one time, so, that just isn't right. And wrestled head, and they beat me. Still really haven't gotten over that whole thing. But, I don't harbor any resentment. I mean, it's a competition, you know what I mean? You just do what you got to do, so.
You win some, you lose some, right?
You do. It's not like they were able to poke me in the eye. They don't have any fingers, so... and I pull their hair all the time, so if they pulled mine, it would only be fair. So
maybe the most technical wrestler you've ever faced, would you say?
I would dare say yes, almost like a mirror of myself, very difficult to pin them. They had no shoulders, so, kind of like trying to pin a turtle, just rocks.
When we talk about some of the best wrestlers you faced and most memorable wrestlers you faced, obviously you faced Mick Foley in ECW and in the WWE. What was it like working with him in his different personas as well? Cactus Jack, the many others as well.
Well, a lot of people ask the same question. You asked it in a unique way, which is, who do you remember? Who do you, did you enjoy wrestling? Things like that. And it's funny you mentioned Mick because we argue about this all the time. What a surprise. But, it's very difficult for me to nail down one wrestler or one match when every time I've ever went to the ring, it's been like one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. And I've just, feel blessed that I've gotten to do it. And granted, there are some nights that are easier, that are funner, that you really get that magic that you're trying to create. And that's what keeps you addicted to it. And there are nights where it's a little tougher and it feels like you're pulling teeth. But I mean, at the end of the day, I get to do what I love to do. So, it's always been, whether I'm wrestling Mick or, Chris Candido or Sabu or Kurt Angle or, The Rock or whomever, it just every time I've gotten in the ring, it's just been awesome. So, let's face it, I am a grown adult male who makes his living fake fighting other grown adult males in their underwear for money. And you get to travel around the world doing that. Awesome. The only thing I could probably think of would be if I was a male stripper, but then the only way I'd succeed at that is if they'd turn the lights off because I look really good in the dark. So the darker it is, the better I look.
What a way to describe the wonderful world of wrestling.
Oh, it is, yeah. It's it's not like we're out there saving lives or, curing cancer or anything, but we do serve a benefit, I think, to people, and that is that, when they have an opportunity, no different than if you watch soccer, Euro football, you watch American style football, you watch hockey, cricket, or, you go to a movie or you watch wrestling or boxing or MMA. It gives you a place to go and escape from the everyday life and all of the, for even if it's just for that moment, you can forget that, the power bills do. Oh, I got to go get groceries. Oh, I got to put gas in the car. Oh, I got to, you've got all these things. And even if it's just for a brief moment, you can forget and you can just be entertained and have fun. So, that if that means that I've got to sit at a restaurant table and Head and I get in an argument and I demand a box for their food because I'm not going to let it go away. So I'm just going to make sure I'm going to heat it up in the hotel room and I'm going to eat it later. So,
and then Ohio Valley Wrestling as well. In terms of your position in that company, seeing wrestlers go and achieve their dreams, start the journey, progress throughout the ranks. Yeah. How fulfilling is it from your end seeing that? Because at one point in your career, you were that wrestler looking for someone to have an arm over your shoulder, looking for a bit of direction and for some pointers. What could I do better in this circumstance in terms of my in-ring abilities or my character development? Now you're that figure in their lives.
Yeah, which really just means I'm old. But, it really is probably one of the more rewarding or satisfying things is watching them when they come in. And it's not like they're bad or anything, but there's a difference between where they come in and how they develop and where they're at now. And you can see the change. You can see the evolution, and you can see that when they came in, they were just a good wrestler. And now, like, you can see they potentially could be a star. They could be an attraction. They could, they could be somebody that's of note, within the, wrestling business. So, and that thrills me to no end to watch them get a better understanding, more experience, a real feeling or an insight into what works for them, why it works for them, and the only way they get that is through directed experience. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day, and that what I'm trying to build in OVW is a platform for young talent like what I have right now to come in and develop and then go on to take advantage of any opportunities that they're going to encounter and be able to capitalize on those opportunities to their utmost. Because with the nature of the business these days, they're probably only going to get that opportunity once. I mean, they're probably not going to get repeated opportunities. So I want to prepare them as much as I possibly can so that when they have that chance, they can take full advantage. And then I want to build the platform in a way that because it's inevitable, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Your moment in the sun, your run, your day is going to stop. It's going to come to an end. Because at the end of the day, a wrestler really is primarily a product, and they have a certain shelf life. That's not something new. That's never changed. In the old days, we had a lot of regional, in the United States, we had a lot of regional areas, territories, and even here in the UK, a lot of the wrestlers had options of going to other countries. They could go into Europe, and they could go to Germany and other places that were operating on a full-time basis and still make a living. And then they were able to come back. And when they came back, they were brand new. They had given the audience a time to miss them. So it's my hope that I can build OVW to a place where, like a Nick Dimmoth or a Shelton Benjamin or a whatever, they've had their opportunity, they've had their run, they've exhausted the possibilities. Now here's this place that you can go. Now, granted, you're not going to make the same amount of money that you made there, but you can do it and do that singular thing for a living, and you can reinvent yourself. You might, in addition to reinventing yourself, you also have the opportunity to give back and to elevate the next generation. And by doing that, you perpetuate the very business that you love so much. And again, you have the opportunity to show, the powers that be and the higher platforms that, hey, wait, the new thing he's doing, we could bring that back up and we could utilize it in this manner. And then they have yet now another opportunity to be on that larger platform.
Finally, who are the wrestlers working today across WWE, AEW, New Japan, and OVW as well? Who are those wrestlers that are really capturing your imagination and you are believing everything that they are selling?
That's, I don't know. I don't want to say one or two people, because then I'll forget one or two people, and then it'll be like, hey, what did you say about me? I'm not good enough. Be like, you're fine. That's not what I'm saying. I forgot. I didn't mention you. So let's just say there's, a lot of guys. There's several guys out there that are really doing what they should be doing, and it shows. I mean, it's obvious because, they're being very successful and they're being something and someone of note within the wrestling business, and not only to fans, but, their peers are, and their contemporaries are taking notice of them as well. So, and I mean, I'm just an old, the business has passed me by. So if I were to say one person, they go, oh, why'd you say him and not the other person? You're old school. You're this, you're that. Well, you're right, I am. But I've been doing it long enough. I kind of think I know a little bit more than the average person. So
I'd be interested to know. But as you said, you don't want to have anyone coming for you.
I don't want to, but when they ask you that, and then that's even like when people ask, like, who'd you really like to wrestle, or what was your best match? And then of course you say a name, and it's not the name of somebody else. And then the next time you see them, they go, hey, I saw that interview. You think you had a better match with that guy than me? Like, no, that was the first one that came in my head. And so I've learned not to play that game.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Such a legend of the business, and a pleasure to have you here in Manchester, and the fans are so excited to meet you, man. Thanks so much.
I appreciate that too. I'm excited to meet the fans, and I'm thrilled that they're here.